Go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to a few of you. Welcome to the community briefing. Today is December 2nd. Only a few more days for Christmas. 2021. And my name is Gregory Sneed, and my pleasure to welcome you to today's show. Today, our guest is going to be Constance Anderson from the Center of Lendistry, and she'll be joining us momentarily. A little bit about myself. My name is Gregory Sneed, and I have a company, Lifesaver Financial Services. I offer life insurance, financial coaching, and I teach financial literacy because I believe that when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. If you'd like to feel better about your money, I'll have information in the chat. Be happy to have a conversation with you to see if you can get on a better relationship with your funds. And now, it's my pleasure to introduce the queen of our broadcast, Miss Crystal Mitchell.
Hey everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. We're excited about our guest today. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope you all had a safe one, and I hope you're being safe from the COVID, because it's still on the rise again. You are tuned into the community briefing with Crystal Mitchell. I am the founder, of this platform, and it was brought to you because I felt that you needed to meet all of the leaders and stakeholders in our communities that are making things happen for us. And we want to thank you for joining us and continue to join us. I am the co-host, the co-director of the Recycling Black Dollars, and as well as I am the CEO of my own business. I'm an educator and trainer, and I host two other podcasts besides this one, The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, which broadcasts live every Friday afternoon at 3:00, streaming live on our Facebook page and YouTube, as well as Conversations on the Patio, which we talk about retirement and all things to do with saving and having enough money to retire. So we want to thank you for tuning in. And our great team, Mr. Stephen Turner, Mr. Gregory Sneed, Ms. Robin Billups, which I'm getting ready to give her the link in a few minutes. And I am going to turn it back over to Greg. And I'm going to let Miss Vicki Mays come in. And we've been looking for her to give us some updates. So there you go, Stephen.
There we go. There you go. Okay, great. Well, today we have Miss Constance Anderson, and I'm going to share some information about her, and then she'll come on and provide us with valuable information. Just a few housekeeping things that if you have any questions or comments for Miss Anderson, please put them in the chat, and we will get to you when she is finished with her presentation. Constance Anderson, she is an accomplished community economic development and banking executive, and she has worked successfully in the Southern California market for 20 plus years. In her current position as the president and Center of Lendistry, she's committed to making the center the premier supporter of underserved small businesses. During the pandemic, she has driven the center to help nearly 4,000 clients and small businesses and get them more than 180 million in funding. The PPP and the SBA and a bunch of other loans that the program offered. She recognizes the importance of coaching, customized coaching, and working with businesses individually so they can fully understand how the center can set them up for success. They partner with other nonprofits, businesses, and government-sponsored entities to provide a wide range of resources, including technical assistance, educational training, financial lending. And she has a passion for helping small businesses thrive so they can be the best that you can be. Be all you can be, right? In our current environment, she also believes it's more critical more now than ever to guide sustainability in the workplace. Before going to the Center of Lendistry, she worked at Pacific Coast Regional and was the director of the Small Business Development Center, the SBDC, and she led the advisory council representing 5,000 small businesses. She is a graduate of the UCLA Anderson School of Management and has served on the Foothill Workforce Investment Board. She's on a number of different boards. and she's a member of the Mayor's Office, Minority Business Development, and also a member of the National Association of Women Business Owners, NAWBO. What I didn't find is, where did you grow up? So you share that with us. And now, without further delay, my pleasure in welcoming Constance Anderson.
Thank you, Gregory, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to all of you. First question I'll answer, I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, but what's most important now, I think, is the fact that I came to California during my high school years, and I attended Compton High School. And so if some of the people on the call would remember, we had a partnership with the Center for Sustainable Businesses in Compton, which was one of the was creating an environment for businesses to have resources to support their business. So from that, that tells you a little bit about me and where I grew up. Birmingham, Alabama, came to California in high school, attended Compton High School, visited many different colleges before I ended up at UCLA. And that's a whole different story. So I'll just move right on into my presentation. Again, thank you for having me. I am the president of the Center by Lendistry. The center is I have been the president for approximately a little over 2 years now. So October would have been my exact 2-year period. So I've been with the center for 2 years. We are a 501c3. Our goal is to have a presence in the small business community. And to date, we have provided services to approximately 11,000 people. Now, 11,000 people in 2 years is almost an insanity type thing, but people tell me I never stop. So my goal and my passion is supporting small businesses. My team is very supportive in doing that. And before I go into the team, I'd just like to give you guys some impact information. So those numbers that I gave you, 11,000 small businesses, consist of 6,300 women-owned businesses, 8,235 minority-owned business, 353 veterans, which I would love to see that number grow, and 10,000 of those businesses are considered in underserved communities. And that is our goal, meeting small businesses where they are, making sure they have the resources to support a sustainable community and sustain their business. And another passion of mine, I have lots of passions, is making sure the businesses are generating revenue. And there's a constant way of helping them to support their revenue needs. I see some friends popping on the call. Hello to all of you that just joined. The center needs and supports small businesses, meeting them where they are. We have approximately on the team right now is approximately 10 people. 5 are full-time staff members. The others are contractors, you would say, or business advisors. And what I look for in the business advisors is I look for people with the skill set that can directly support where that business is, whether they're aspiring to become a small business or already in a small business and they're looking for an opportunity or looking for support to help them to build and grow a sustainable business. This year has been a tremendously challenging year for the small businesses. It has been somewhat challenging for us too, and just trying to make sure we're doing what we need to do in order to support those businesses. One of the things that we did, and some of you probably heard about the LA County ecosystem, which was funded by Chase. That program allowed us to establish a collaboration with different business support organizations like the center in helping us to provide services to almost 1,600 people. That program started in June, and it didn't take long for us to reach the 1,500. In September, we had used all the resources that were made available to us. So 1,584 people received over I'd say 4,000 hours of one-on-one consulting, collaborating with other business support organizations. We were also able to work with another financial institution that provided additional funding in the form of a grant. So we were able to provide $4,000 in the form of a grant to small businesses as well. My goal in running the center or being the president of the center is to make sure that we're doing something that isn't already being done and something that directly supports the businesses that we're working with. So when we started to look at the LA ecosystem, one of the things that we discovered is that small businesses did not need loans at that time. They needed opportunity and access to funding that they would not have to pay back. And I look at that $4,000 that we were able to give to small businesses as a way of helping us to get there. If you didn't notice, one of the lights just went out. I'm not sure what that's about. There it is, it's back. Let's see. The 12 business advisors that we have on the team are skilled in different areas that I think directly support your needs, such as QuickBooks, building a business plan. Procurement is another passion of mine. We established a partnership with MetroLink, in which we have designed 2 cohorts to help small businesses to get contract ready in order to do business with MetroLink. And that is something that the then president of MetroLink and I worked through together. It provided a number of courses, all free. I believe there were 6 courses designated in the MetroLink project, and advisors were made available to help the business owners to get certified to do business with them. And I believe to date, since it just started, there is about 80 businesses that are contract ready and ready to receive contracts upon the opportunity, when the opportunity presents themselves with MetroLink. Keeping in mind, our goal is to make sure we have training, we have business advisors to support that. The other thing that we have accomplished in this year is an on-demand platform that consists of 44 topics. Those 44 topics to date are free. I'm sure that's going to change in the near future. So I would suggest that you get involved in those classes as soon as possible. We are a nonprofit, a 501c3, which means we really don't generate any revenue. So we exist primarily because we write grants, and those grants support the opportunities for the small businesses to grow and generate revenue. Those 44 topics in our on-demand platform are available by just going to our website, which I will put in the chat in just a few minutes, and going to the website, requesting the classes that you would like to take, and you would receive a link. So you do need to be technology savvy. I will throw that out there. It is all on demand. It is self-taught. You can close the class and come back to it. Most of the classes are 1.5 hours, and I think there's a few that are 2 hours long. But there should be no reason for anyone to be able to take any of the classes. There are 44, from Microsoft to how to build a business plan, how to do business with the government. We have QuickBooks, and then we have an advisor that after you finish the class, you can work with the advisor on that part as well. The website is thecenterbylendistry.org, and I will put it in the chat. The telephone number is 213-459-8428 for additional information. And let's see. Oh, on the access to capital piece. What does my time look like? Who's checking the time?
Oh, you have about 15 minutes more. She said, oh, wait, with Q&A.
I'm like, okay, I know I talk a lot, but I also talk fast. So on the access to capital part, what the audience should also be aware of is the business advisors can help you to get ready for funding. And then Lendistry, which is the parent company of the center, is also our preferred lender. but I also have access to other lenders. Right now is just probably not a good time for anyone to be looking for loans. And I think that I would like to say to most business owners out there in this economy, as unstable as it is, because I don't think it's stable, you might, but I don't think the economy is stable right now. I would say take advantage of any grants, any funding that you do not have to pay as much as possible. And by becoming a client of the center, it is our job and the center's job to make sure that you're aware of any funding opportunities that are available, including loans. All right, why don't we do the Q&A? Maybe that will start the Q&A and that will help us to move through those 15 additional minutes.
Oh, thank you, Constance. I want to thank you because, you know, the loaning piece is, you know, I know that's how we had to get through where we had to get through. But I do know that even a couple of my clients have acquired loans, even though they did their PPP forgiveness. There has been some questions, some concerns, because all of a sudden the amount that they applied for, they came back and told them they had been given too much. And now they have acquired loans that they had not anticipated. And I also I read somewhere that some of the banks out there actually switched over the requirements, because initially it was my understanding, and you can confirm this, that it was for payroll, utilities, and mortgage. Right? Is that, and I know that's what we have been told. And so then they came back and said, no, it was just for payroll. So can you speak to that?
Sure. It was designed for anything that is directly connected to payroll. So if it was sick days, if it was insurance, if it was anything connected to payroll, the idea of the payroll protection program was supposed to support that small business in keeping their employees on board. And the rule of it is that if, let's just throw out a number. Let's just say that you qualify for a $100,000 PPP loan. In order for it to be fully forgiven, you had to use those funds exactly as it is outlined. My understanding is the SBA designed the forgiveness piece. There is no exception that I'm aware of, as long as you can prove that the funds were used for payroll or anything connected to payroll. The other side of it is the interest rate on those loans is so low. I believe for a nonprofit, I think it was 2.75, and for for-profits, it was 3.75. There is no such thing as getting a loan at that rate. So even if you didn't use the funds directly as it was supposed to be used, it's as close to being free as you can possibly get. Now, I probably get cursed at for saying that, but the bottom line is there is no 3% loans out there except in PPP and EIDL.
Okay.
So I think of it as a blessing that our government, the federal government, was able to make that type of funding available to small businesses. And I believe the term, and I'd have to go back and look, I think the term of repayment is over 20 years.
Okay.
So I can validate that or verify it if you'd like, Crystal. I'll make a note to get back to you on the criteria of the forgiveness. But for the most part, if it wasn't for totally 100% forgiven, the money that isn't forgiven is turned into a loan, but the interest rate is substantially low.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clearing that up, Greg. I turn it over to you.
All righty. So a couple of questions here. One is the classes that are offered, how are they being offered now, and will that change? You know, many of us were accustomed to in-person, you know, and in-person seminars and virtual and podcast and, you know, 3-ring binders, doing homework and turning it in. How is that being handled now? And what do you see the opportunity, the window for us one day getting back to doing things in person?
Well, for those of you that know me, I love the in-person situation. It's very engaging. It allows the individual to actually see and speak to that person or shake their hand or whatever. Right now, we are in a virtual environment. And I think that's a healthy way of making classes available. Our classes are on demand, and basically what on demand means, you can take the class whenever you feel like it, because the classes are already all recorded. So once you receive the link, you sign into the classroom and you go through a recorded class.
Is it audio and video or just audio?
It is audio and video, but it is not live. It's recorded. I just want to make sure that's clear. It's audio and video. You actually see a person. And I think they're really good quality. I've gotten some really good feedback on it because you can take the class multiple times if you choose to. And once you finish the class, if you still need assistance, you can request a business advisor.
Can you share thank you very much for that answer.
You're welcome.
Can you share us a little bit about the technical assistance that's provided? What is included in technical assistance, and maybe importantly, what's excluded from that?
The only thing that I would say is an exclusion is anything related to cannabis. Cannabis, pornography, some of our funding comes from federal agencies, and so we're limited there until the United States government says, okay, you can teach a class on how to market cannabis. We cannot. But if you attended a class on marketing and you took that and used it for whatever your business is, I can't stop that.
Right. I was looking more for a definition of technical assistance. In other words, if I can't get my phone to work, that's not, you're not helping me with that, or I can't figure out, I got a smart TV and I'm dumber than the TV. What type of technical assistance is being offered to business owners?
Well, we do have some classes on how to use Zoom, how to use Microsoft.
Okay.
We have I would call it a bucket of classes that support technology. And even when we were doing the California Relief Grant, if that's familiar to most people, our parent company, Lendistry, was the administrator of the California Relief Fund. We also helped our clients to understand how to upload documents. And so that class is also available. How to upload documents so that you can have access to grants or access to anything for that matter. But the 44 topics includes business plan, certification, QuickBooks, financial recordings, everything that I could think of that I thought a business might use to help to support their business.
Great. Another good question coming up here. Are there any programs like those that happened after the 1992 uprising that provides funds to new small businesses? They go through a program like Fame had. They had a microloan program where they were really looking to help people to launch a business.
I am actually right now looking at programs that would support startups. But as far as I know, we will help you if you're a startup trying to start a business. We will also help you if you're looking for funding to start a business. I would just say it is limited.
Thank you. What areas or markets does Lendistry or the Center for Lendistry serve? Is it Los Angeles? Is it the Southern California area? Now things are with virtual, there's no boundary, I guess, in the US, but I imagine that there's a focus. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, the Center by Lendistry, as I said, is the nonprofit of Lendistry. Okay, and Lendistry is a for-profit. The center is a nonprofit. So basically, everywhere Lendistry is, which is a national organization, we can also function there. Of course, my office is in California, but we have an office in Philadelphia and we have one in Maryland.
So 3 offices that support the
effort. It changes as quickly as we do. One of the things that we do here is we call it blitz scaling. So we move pretty fast. And I'd like to think that we are able to move as fast as the businesses need us to.
This one's more of a commentary than a question. She said, I went through Lendistry for my PPP and with her business, and it was forgiven. So she has been forgiven. So she is thanking
Thank you.
you and your team for help with that.
Thank you. The dollars that we help to support small businesses, I can't even remember what it is. At one point I looked and it was $400 million. And I know it's much larger than that now. And then if we look at CRG, the last time I looked at what we were able to grant to small businesses, I think it started out at $500 million. By the time it ended, which was September 30th, it was $4.5 billion that was used just in the state of California.
Thank you. And someone else here is also saying that she got, Robin, she says that she had her PPP forgiveness. So that was good, got her business. So did you ever believe that you were going to be in the business of offering forgiveness, like a priest in the?
Well, we went into PPP knowing that there was going to be a piece of PPP where there would be a forgiven piece to it.
Yeah.
So
They
yeah,
actually approved it too, because initially it was designed where you only going to get, even as a sole proprietor, only a portion was going to be forgivable, and then they ended up modifying it. So that was great. Let's see. What are some of the opportunities that you see for the center in the near future? And what are some of the
many. I see many opportunities for the center. My team has said to me, do you sleep? And I am constantly thinking about other programs that we can use, like the MetroLink program, like the LA County Ecosystem program. Those programs, we didn't really know how well received they were going to be, but when you bring out a program in over a 3-month period and you can actually reach 1,500 people over a 3-month period, that shows the need and the demand for it. So right now, I'm thinking of other ways that I can support small businesses in the procurement area, which I find that a lot of businesses still don't understand that that's an opportunity to generate revenue. And we can support that. The other is, of course, looking for other grant opportunities that we can provide to clients. We know that there is a number of businesses that are still suffering or challenged in the COVID environment, and making sure that my on-demand classes are current and they're what the business owners need.
Constance, what would you think would be for a post-pandemic for our small business community? What would be the playbook for them? What should they be really preparing to do now? I know we've been operating as if we're still in the pandemic for sure, but we do have to look toward that future. So from where you guys, from the center standpoint, where do you think they need to be heading, and how should they be moving forward?
Well, I'll just say this. One of the things that we found that was most challenging for a lot of small businesses is the use of technology. And if you tried to get a grant or you tried to do PPP and you struggle through it, now is the time to make sure those struggles are somewhat eliminated. I would say, know where your tax returns are, know where your financials are, know how to use a computer. Cell phones are great, but they're not a computer. And one of the things that I am trying to do is find a funder that is supportive of helping those small businesses that are not technology savvy to understand technology a little bit better and not to be afraid of it.
Okay.
One last thing, is there anything that you wanted to cover and didn't, and you'd like to cover that right now?
Well, sure. And I see that Robin has a little comment in the chat. And so I think I can answer you, Gregory, and her at the same time. Think about the successes that we've had in the center in the last 2 years. scare me. The successes that we've had have been overwhelmingly responded to. Basically, reaching 10,000 people in a year, helping them to access almost $5 billion in funding through the California Relief Grant, partnering with over 100 different business support organizations to make sure that we were able to get that $5 billion out. We didn't do it alone. We offered incentives. We made it possible for every organization in the state of California to help us to reach those businesses. So it wasn't like Lendistry in the center said, oh, we can put out $5 billion. We needed the support of other organizations to get it done. And that's what the state of California wanted. So some of the successes are that, the fact that we have the on-demand programs or on-demand curriculum available and it's free. The advisory services through our advisory team is also free. It is going to be somewhat limited. So if you're going to work with a business advisor, I would say, get your plan together. What is it that you need help with? Allow us to help you to assess what your needs are and then to map out an action plan for you. If you need to buy equipment, say that. If you know what it costs, say that. Let us help you to get the funding to do that. If you've got a contract opportunity with MetroLink or the County of LA, and you already know you don't have the funds or the capacity to run the project, then you know you need funding. Some cases, it might be a little bit more expensive funding because of your credit. Some cases, we may be able to get exceptional access to capital for you. Gregory, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. I have one more question here. Someone is wanting to know, how can they get assistance in talking to a person to work through some issues on an already approved grant? I know it's challenging in these days of people I don't know if your folks are in the office or working from home or remotely, but I think that's the nature of the question.
Okay, so let me be very clear. I do have an office that I seldom go to. The company has designed and feel like it is safer for us to work with people virtually. And I would like to think that everybody understands that. We don't know who has COVID or who doesn't. We don't know where other people have been or whatever the case is. So if we have provided services to over 10,000 people, all of those services have been in a virtual environment. So everything is virtual, or it can be a phone call conversation. We don't have to see you, but we do need to talk to you.
Yeah, we want you to stay safe. We want to see you in 2020 and therefore forever. All of you guys, actually. Mr. Walker, you had your hand up.
Hi, Armin.
Turn myself off. Thank you. Hi, Constance. You've been on my to-do call list for the past couple of weeks. I will follow up and call. My question, you had mentioned, I mean, there's a lot of companies that are certainly existing businesses, but the challenge, I think one of the big challenges for those startups, or what I like to call near revenue companies that are close, not just concepts, but something they're close. And we all kind of know that the challenge is getting capital to those, but you'd mentioned that you support, some of the companies in earlier stage with grants and other things like that. It seems to me that that's sort of like your cannabis analogy. That's a way of maybe getting to some of the startups.
Oh, Armin, I lost you.
Oh, he's talking. Can you hear?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Did my Wi-Fi go?
No, I hear you. Can you guys hear us?
Constance, can you?
I think she lost us.
I think she lost us.
Can't hear.
It's on your end.
Armin, go ahead and make your comment.
Okay, yeah. Well, and I'll get back to Constance with her when I talk. But in essence, I think that the programs may have some application to young near revenue companies where they, sometimes it's a matter of mobilization. They need to do some research. So in any case, Constance, you may not still be able to hear me, so I'll
Hear you.
let somebody, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, in essence, it's trying to get some of the grant or some of the money like that to young companies or startup companies that may need to pay for research or doing this, that, and the other to get themselves started. But it seems to me that that may be part of what you may be able to offer. But is that a challenge for those type of companies as well?
Well, keep in mind, most grants are going to come via a nonprofit of sort like the center. And so basically, it's very similar to the California Relief Grant, which was $5 billion. The state of California was looking for an entity that could support small businesses through technology. And that's how Lendistry was chosen to manage that grant program. And so technology is definitely a way of looking at it, but as far as I know right now, there aren't any new grants. And basically for an organization like the center to have access to grants, it means me looking for a financial institution that wants to do that. And so the grant that I mentioned earlier that we did in collaboration with the Chase LA County ecosystem came from another financial institution. Chase put in the money for the infrastructure, but they didn't put money in for a grant. So I then looked for another institution to provide, I believe it was like $450,000. It was small, but they wanted to make the funds available in a loan situation. And I was like, no loans. And so what we were able to do was use that $450,000 in the form of a grant. And it was $4,000 to the individual, to the businesses that met the eligibility requirement. And so we can look for more of that. I'm always looking for that because the economy right now is not one in which I think that small businesses should be looking for loans. Now, there are businesses out there that were not impacted by COVID. And unfortunately, unless they have a relationship with the financial institution, they're probably still going to be challenged looking for funding. So if nothing else, form a relationship with the financial institution. That could be working with us so that we can help you to be financially ready to secure financing. And when and if Lendistry is in a position to make those loans, you have a better chance because I know and my team will have helped you to get ready for it. No different than getting ready to bid on a contract. So we can help you with that as well. And bidding on the contract also means making sure you have the capacity to manage the contract from a financial situation.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges of getting to know your banker is being in the virtual world, being in, especially at I bank with Chase, and not every time, but often I go into the branch, there's somebody new there. There's a new branch manager because they got promoted, and so it's more and more challenging to establish that relationship, and that lending institution, that bank, that center that is able to develop that strongly will win.
That, I used to be a banker in my previous career, and I would say if you think 20 years prior to where we are now, that has always been that way. And sometimes you have to move your relationship as needed in order to have a relationship. And sometimes you might be inconvenienced. You may have to drive downtown versus driving down Crenshaw or La Brea or whatever. I just think we need to have an open mind and be prepared to do whatever you need to do in order to have the resources that you need to run your business. And we can't fix that. Bankers are going to move. They're constant. When they're looking for a person, they are calling other financial institutions, looking for the best person they have to fill a position. So chances are you could move with your banker if you know them that well.
I quite agree with you. Also, there, like Broadway Federal just merged with City First Bank, and
Mhm.
which is a DC branch, and they really want to help small businesses grow and be able to access capital for their business. So if you guys are looking to make a change, that bank, I know that's where our relationships are, and I have relationships from the top to the door to the security guard at all the branches. And so I think that's very important. We have to develop that, and they can help you grow your business and help you prepare your business for when you will need capital, not when you absolutely are in a desperate need for capital. So you want to work up to that. So thank you for that, Constance. I think that's a big issue in our community. Most, if you're dropping your money in somebody's bank and you don't even know the teller and you don't know the branch manager or the president, then why are you dropping your money there? And when you go to get help, they're like, I'm sorry, we don't know you. We can't help you. That's ridiculous to me. So that's my opinion, and I'm sticking with that one. Thank you so much for that. I love the fact that you guys adapted the virtual piece and making sure that there's workshops and classes and available. We've spent a lot of time for the last 2 years doing our virtual. So I believe this is our new norm. Even when I think I reach more people this way than I did if I was doing a physical class at the Urban League or Vermont Slauson or wherever I'm teaching. It's just so limited with people trying to get there. But internet, I got people coming from all across the country to attend workshops. I actually personally like it. And I develop a personal relationship with the people through how I train. So I think that's really important to know that this is going to be our norm, guys. I mean, some hybrid of this is going to be our norm. And it don't look like we're going to ever get out of the pandemic anyway. So
we will. Keep hope alive.
We'll get out of it, but I think that our world, even out of it, will change, because now we also understand that why spend $100,000 a year to run a business out of a building when you can operate a business virtually. Think of how much more you could do with, and I think about our budget and what it costs me to have an office. I would rather spend those dollars making things available to you than spending them for a roof over my office and having my team come in, and I pay for parking and the rent and so forth. And even for the business owners out there, how often do you have to pay for parking when you go to a class? The cost of this is California. The cost of gas and the parking fee should help you to decide, oh, if I can do this class online at 2 o'clock in the morning when my kids are asleep after dinner is done. I'm trying to sell everybody on it because I believe in it and I need everyone else to believe in it.
Well, you got my vote. I think it's perfect. And I think that we have proven that it's possible to do that. I do know there are a lot of employers that feel that they have better control over their employees if they can physically see if they're working. But I think life balance is going to be part of the future, and giving people opportunities to not have to worry about their children because their kids are in the other room. So I think that's important. Miss Robin Billups has her hand raised, and we all want to give her a warm welcome back. She will enlighten you. And if you guys haven't seen that amazing interview with her and on LinkedIn, where she was interviewed by
Brenda Ross Doolin, one of our pioneers in the banking industry. A couple of things that I want to say. First and foremost, the community briefing continues to be the resource, the information, the connections that our community needs. And I truly hope people take advantage. We've been talking about these grants, this funding, the money that was available for the last 2 years. And now people are just starting to pay attention. So things have changed. Please understand that the world has been disrupted. The world has been disrupted, but the disruption is only getting us ready for what I call the rising generation, the next generation of activity. And the other thing that I wanted to say is, and this has been always been my platform, when it comes to procurement, when it comes to business, I know people have their ideas and they're passionate about what they want to do, but is it serving the community? Is it serving the supply chain? We have to become better stewards of what is needed in the supply chain. So right now, cybersecurity, all kinds of security, logistics, getting things moved from, being shipped from China to Long Beach to the target, the local target. So start thinking about how do you pivot your company in order to take advantage of where the true opportunities are. And then the final thing that I'll say is, if you do not have a relationship with a small business development center as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because conventional banking has changed. I started in banking in 1978, me and Constance. Yeah, I'm telling our age. We started very, very early on in the banking industry, and we've seen it morph into where we are now. It is in the virtual world. It will always be virtual. We have to learn how to do business that way. We have to learn how to make connections that way, and understand that, again, a platform like the community briefing provides you with the hand holding that we all need. All of us are in different places in our businesses and in our lives, but there are folks out here who care. And certainly this team, the team at Lendistry, take time to understand who Lendistry is and the services that are provided. Pacific Coast Regional has been around over 40 something years. These are, VEDC, these organizations, Recycling Black Dollars, the BBA, these organizations were started to support us. We have to support them. Okay, I'm off my platform. And again, I'm excited about the Lord bringing me back from the brink, guys. I mean, truly. And I asked him to let me come back so I can finish the work that he's given me. So I will continue to pray for you guys. I ask you to continue to pray for me, because tomorrow ain't promised to none of us. Love you.
Love you, and so happy to have you back. And I'm going to put the link in for the interview with Brenda Ross Doolin, the Equalizer Project podcast, so you guys can hear it. That's fantastic. Wendy, you had a question, and then after that, we're going to let Dr. Mays give us an update on what we need to be doing to protect ourselves and our family.
Crystal, it's up for Dr. Mays. I chatted with Wendy, and she inadvertently raised her hand, so she's lowered it back.
Okay, go ahead, Miss. Go ahead, Dr. Mays.
Let me start by saying good morning, family.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm happy to be back. Let me tell you, community briefing, it's like you are so needed. And listening today, what really came across to me is the necessity for those of you in the business world to have your scientific update. And the reason for that is, let's start thinking about this notion of forecasting. It's not going to be just about your numbers, but it probably needs to be about your ability to forecast the changes that may occur so that you can be ahead of what you need to do for your business. So, I'm gonna get real committed with Crystal around helping to do that, because I need you to do what you do so that people will engage in healthy habits. So, it's like, Crystal, I think I just got it today about this relationship. I've always kind of known it, but listening to Constance talk today, and a couple of times things came up about what to do next and in what kind of order, it's really clear to me that the notion of thinking about ahead, if there's going to be some ups and downs in terms of COVID, is something that may be really important for you all. So I appreciate being here today, because that was a good learning for me. Okay, I'm going to talk about some things, because I don't want us to start getting off on misinformation, disinformation, and all that kind of stuff. So as everybody has been reading, there's a new Greek letter that's out there because we have a variant, Omicron. So most of these names, people have been doing this thing about these names that is some ominous stuff, but just so that you know, what the World Health Organization does is it has decided that rather than naming viruses, with names that may stigmatize, it is using the Greek letter. Omicron is the 15th Greek letter. It's not anything other than that. So let's, get that, because you'd be really upset if they called this the South Africa virus or the China virus, which your president of before was doing. So this really has no meaning other than a Greek letter.
Dr. Mays,
yes.
I'm an alpha, so I know my Greek alphabet. So Delta is the 4th letter, and Omicron is 15. Does that mean there's been a 5th, 6th, the 14th variant?
No, because I'm going to tell you what the World Health Organization actually did was skip some of the Greek letters because they represent the name. Like, XI is one of the Greek letters. It was skipped because the president of China, that's his last name. Nu is another one. That was skipped because that is a politician's last name. So we actually have we're concerned about 7 variants. So there was reason to do some skipping because it was people's names.
I wonder how we got from Delta to Omicron that quick. Okay, thank you. That was my question. All right.
my learned brother, thank you very much, so that everybody understands. See, I love you all in terms of these questions. So why is it that we are a bit concerned? First of all, it is good to be concerned, but I'm going to talk like Biden, which I usually don't, is I don't need you to be panicked. I'm going to give you 3 things to think about at the end to do. I don't need you to be panicked. And the reason I don't want you to panic is because I want you to hear and listen. I'm going to be very clear about right now, the science is just starting for this particular variant. So don't get confused if next week we tell you something different. We are moving as fast as we can. And everybody here ought to be jumping up and down to South Africa because their science was better than our science. If anything is in South Africa, it was already here as well, but we just didn't find it yet until somebody had to tell us what it might be like. And South Africa did a genetic analysis that identified this variant. This variant has about 30 mutations. That's unusual. That tells you this is a smart virus. That tells you this virus is going to try and live. This virus is going to be smart the way that HIV has been, in the sense that, there have been mutations for HIV. And that's what I want you to hear me say. We've seen mutations before in terms of HIV, and we've been able to develop either a pharmacologic intervention or some kind of behavioral advice that has allowed us to overcome it. What's different is how the virus is transmitted. It's like, you don't have to do something to get this virus. It's not like we're saying protect yourself in terms of sex. It's like you walking outside minding your own business, and it's like, somebody starts talking and all this other stuff. You're not protected properly, you can get infected. So what's different, and this is why I say don't panic, be wise and smart, is you need to protect yourself. How do we protect ourselves with this particular virus? First of all, the question has come up because of these variants. Will the actual vaccinations that you have had, and I hope I'm talking to most people being vaccinated now, because business people are smart people. My father used to say that. So it's like, because he was a businessman. But anyway, so part of what you have to think about is that question of, are the vaccinations that we have going to protect us against this virus, which has now 30 potential mutations? I'm going to be very honest, family. We think so, but we don't know. So hold on, because next week we may have more science to tell you something different. So if I'm telling you that you might still get infected, then that means that some of this public health advice that we're giving you is critical. So one of the things we know from San Francisco is there was a person who traveled from South Africa, and just so that you all know, so because you're going to spread information, is the virus has been found in not only South Africa, but Botswana and Hong Kong, in Belgium, and in Israel. So go look at your travel tickets that you got so happy about that, you know, they gave you some cheap airfares, and understand the virus is more than just South Africa. South Africa became visible because of their science. So know that. So in terms of the vaccinations that you've had, the case in San Francisco told us that that man who was in his 50s, there's a person who's in their 50s, had been vaccinated and had a mild case of it. So that's all we know. That doesn't mean that that's going to be for everybody. That's the N of one. What we do know, though, from some of the cases in, I think it was, I can't remember, it was in some part of Africa, Israel. It was in South Africa, that those who were most likely to get infected there were young people, but it wasn't because they were young. It was because the young people were unvaccinated. They had the highest rate of being not vaccinated. So the message is not about young people, but the message is about not being vaccinated is the issue. And that, you know, the virus spreads a lot easier because it has many different forms. The mutations mean that your antibodies are used to certain kinds of forms. And here it is, this smart virus has, you know, put on 30 different Halloween costumes and you just looking for the pumpkin or something. So you got to understand that, you know, vaccinations here is important. But I'm going to leave you with a couple of things for you to think about. If you haven't had your boosters, you foolish. You need to go get your boosters. And here's the deal. Johnson & Johnson, if you had your Johnson & Johnson shot 2 months ago, you're due for a booster. It waned the most. If you had Pfizer, it's about a 6 to 7 month. So if you had it much earlier than that, you need to be running to get your booster. If you had Moderna, it's more like on the 8 months. So the question when people come to your house for whatever little holiday gatherings you're going to have, it's no longer the question of, are you vaccinated? But you said, when did you get vaccinated and which one did you get? And then you decide whether or not they get the invitation to your house. So you got between now and when the party is to show me, you know, you start acting like a business in your house. Show me your vaccination, because it's no longer just vaccinated, but it's going to be about the boosters. The other thing, family, we really got to get back to wearing our masks properly. If you've gone to the swap meet and bought your mask and all these other places, and it's this little thin mask, I invite you to sneeze through it and touch the outside. You're going to feel the wetness of those droplets. So don't let people be up in your face wearing these little thin masks. But most people will see I wear 2 masks because I like a cute mask, and some of the cute masks are too thin. So I wear a surgical mask and then I do my cute mask over those. So if you don't have a mask where you can slip a filter into it so that you have 2+ protection, and the science may tell us we need 3+ or something in terms of this new, we don't know yet. But it's like being cute and being alive means 2 masks. So, and don't let people.
Oh, you went mute.
Sorry, I was just going to say, don't let people be around you that are wearing just the bandanas and the little 1-ply thing. That's the other thing. We think we're looking cute in those things, and they have not enough protection. So family, right now, don't panic. Use the public health advice we've given you and run to wherever you need to run. See, ain't no excuse now, because you can go to CVS and you can walk in there and say, my computer ain't working, just, you know, give me an appointment. You can push them to do that. So family, let's stay healthy, because when we get rich, which is what you all trying to help us do, I want you healthy to spend that money.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mays. I got my booster on November 2nd. I feel safe. But my co-host for the Business Zone, he didn't get his booster. He did get his vaccination, and he tested positive on Monday for COVID. And he's not definitely sick, but he is ill. And
Yeah.
so this, I mean, it can happen. You go to somebody's house, and I've heard so many of those stories of late that I went to my cousin's house and all 50 people now have COVID. So these are people that you know, and so it's not outdoors. I'm outdoors. If I'm out on the tennis court, I'm 6 feet away, 8 feet away from everybody, 10 feet one way, one whatever. When I come off the court, I have my mask, and I don't go to events. I'm sorry, I'm just not ready to do that. So be safe, guys, because this is no joke. And Gilbert was in seclusion for 2 years, and then he ventured out into the world, and he was like a baby coming out of his cocoon, and he done got infected. So be
We're
safe.
not gonna see him for another 2 years now.
Right. He don't never come back out the house now. He was the safest out of all of us, and now he ain't gonna never come back out. So be safe. Thank you, Dr. Mays. Thank you, Constance. We so appreciate you. Wendy, thank you for working with us to get Miss Constance here, and we so appreciate it. Good information. Guys, thank you so much. Stephen, do you want to tell us who's here next week?
Yes, but I just also want to add, in the business community, the Black business community, let us support the center. Let's support the mission that Constance has. So spread the word for those that are on this. Send them to the YouTube channel where it be shown. We're at a point that the path has been created. Let's support that. Talk about access to capital. Next week we have Adam Gower. We talk about crowdfunding, another way to maybe bypass a bank, and how we can raise money for real estate projects. It's been done in other communities. Let's see what we can do in our own.
I like that. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, guys. Armin, thank you for coming out. Please come back. Again, love and hugs for Miss Robin Billups. So happy to hear her voice strong and back out here. We need her voice. She's an important part. In the chat room, guys, I put in the link. RBD's resource guide is now digital. So on a website, in the iTunes store and the Google store, the links are there. Please go list your business for free. We want to be able to do business with you. It's so important, so imperative that we support our dollars, recycling our dollars, because our community businesses have taken a major hit. So it's important that we can create that organic, a viral reach to our community to save our community. And I heard a very interesting, and we're going to get done. I heard a very interesting thing. The other day I was listening to Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. He spoke at the Black Business Expo, and the numbers for all the other businesses that are kicked up their recycling their dollars in their community has increased like threefold. Ours is still at 6 hours. Come on, guys. That's ridiculous. So we are making money. Let's support our own businesses so that we can grow our businesses. So thank you guys so much. You can find this archived on our website, the Community Briefing. So go over there, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and subscribe to the Community Briefing channel as well. We want to continue this programming. You can also do a donation over at our website because I think this is a valuable platform for our community. So thank everyone. Go out and tell some friends. We are here for the next 2 weeks. Then we're taking a little hiatus for Christmas. And thank you, Dr. Mays. Guys, you got to have a checklist. So send a jot form to your friends and family before they get to your house. You want to see the vaccination card, have them send it to you before they come into your house. And then if they don't want to have that, then they have to have within 24 hours a test. But don't let folks just come in your house bringing disease. Love you all. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Check out the Business Zone on Friday. Register your business for free on the resource guide. And bye-bye, guys. Thank you, guys.